What is vicarious trauma? Community correction staff work closely with people who have experienced violence, abuse, loss, and hardship on a day to day basis. Listening to these stories and supporting the clients through these distressing experiences is part of their role, but over a period, it can begin to affect the individual more than anticipated. This is known as vicarious trauma. Vicarious trauma refers to the harmful changes that occur in the professional's view of themselves, others, and the world due to the repeated exposure of trauma. This is not seen as a sign of weakness, rather, a normal human response to ongoing challenges. Vicarious trauma, however, can lead to symptoms such as decreased motivation, efficiency, empathy, sleep problems, emotional numbness, irritability, and intrusive thoughts. These traumas can also lead to altering the individual's sense of safety and trust or feeling of disconnection from others. In settings of correctional and case management, this can affect decision making, emotional boundaries, and client engagement. To recognize and manage vicarious trauma means to care for oneself within and outside the workplace. In the workplace, this means to seek peer support, undergo training in trauma informed practice, having strong supervision with debriefing and organizational support. Outside of the workplace, creating routines like exercising regularly, mindfulness, and maintaining good sleep and nutrition. This allows for boundaries to be set between work and personal life, which allows for a break for the mind and the body, which maintains your well being and the ability to support others effectively. As well, focusing on building strong relationships with family and friends can assist in restoring a sense of safety and connection for others.
Now we can look into the causes of vicarious trauma. As previously mentioned, vicarious trauma can be caused as a byproduct of somebody else's trauma. It occurs when an individual is repeatedly exposed to trauma victim stories at close proximity. Commonly, this is seen amongst caregiving, frontline healthcare workers, and any person who is exposed to trauma victims on a regular basis. Essentially, this form of trauma is caused when an individual has empathetic engagements with victims of trauma, repeated exposure to trauma, a lack of emotional boundaries, inadequate individual support, high workloads, or crisis environments. What are the signs of vicarious trauma? The common signs of vicarious trauma can be categorized in different forms. Vicarious trauma can deeply affect those who are regularly exposed to others' suffering. Emotionally, it may cause ongoing sadness, anxiety, or anger, often leading to feelings of hopelessness or helplessness. Over time, people may become numb or detached, finding it difficult to experience joy or satisfaction. Cognitively, intrusive thoughts and constant preoccupation with others' traumas can make it hard to focus or make decisions. This can lead to cynicism, a loss of faith in humanity, and a distorted sense of safety, where the world begins to feel dangerous or unstable. Behaviorally, individuals might start to withdraw from others, avoid certain work situations, or avoid overwork to compensate. Sleeping and eating habits may often change, and some may turn to unhealthy coping strategies to manage the emotional weight. Physically, the stress of vicarious trauma can cause exhaustion, headaches, and lowering immunity. Spiritually, it may lead to a loss of purpose or disconnection from faith, leaving individuals feeling isolated from themselves and others. Recognizing these effects is vital for maintaining personal well-being and continuing to support others effectively. Vicarious trauma is a hidden burden for many who care deeply for others. Its effects is far-reaching, affecting not only those directly involved in trauma, but those who are working to help or support them. The emotional, cognitive, behavioral, spiritual, and physical toll of vicarious trauma is real, and it is important to recognize these symptoms before they grow more severely.
Institutional strategies to prevent vicarious trauma. Regular supervision and critical debriefing. This includes providing structured, trauma-informed supervision where staff can reflect on cases, process emotional responses, and receive guidance before distress accumulates. Training and education. This includes offering ongoing training on recognizing early signs of vicarious trauma and emotional regulation to build understanding and resilience. Peer support and reflective practice. This includes implementing peer discussion groups or reflective practice sessions that normalize conversation about emotional impact and encourage mutual support. Workload management. Maintaining balanced caseloads and rotating exposure to high trauma clients to reduce cumulative psychological strain. Access to counseling and EAP services. Ensuring clinicians have confidential, free access to trauma-informed counseling and encourage its proactive use. Organizational culture of well-being, embedding self-care, rest, and recovery as part of institutional policy, promoting a culture that values emotional health as much as productivity. Individual strategies to prevent vicarious trauma. Engage in self-reflection. Regularly monitor emotional responses to clients' trauma and recognize when personal well-being is being affected. Setting clear boundaries, maintaining professional distance and avoid over-identification with clients' trauma stories. Practice self-care, engaging consistently in restorative activities such as mindfulness, exercise, creative outlets, or spending time with supportive people. Use supervision and peer support, seeking regular supervision and peer discussion to process challenging cases and gain emotional perspective. Develop emotional regulation skills, using grounding techniques, journaling, or relaxation exercises to manage intrusive thoughts or distress. Continual professional growth, engaging in reflective learning to strengthen coping mechanisms and reaffirm meaning and purpose in the helping role.
Overcoming vicarious trauma on an institutional and individual level. Community corrections officers face ongoing exposure to trauma through their work with offenders and victims. This repeated contact can lead to emotional and psychological strain. Vicarious trauma occurs through repeated indirect contact with traumatic material. It can result in work-related distress, such as burnout, compassion fatigue, and secondary traumatic stress, which impact both well-being and job performance. At an organizational level, clear structures and support systems help reduce risk factors linked to work-related distress, including workload, fairness, and community support. Managing caseloads, maintaining fair workloads, and promoting a supportive workplace are practical ways institutions can protect staff. Access to employee assistance programs allows officers to safely process trauma. Providing supervision, regular training, and professional development helps staff manage emotionally challenging work. Mentoring programs where experienced officers guide newer colleagues can share proven coping strategies and build resilience. Social support is critical. Officers report that they rely on those who are close to process traumatic experiences. Colleagues who respond positively to trauma can act as credible messengers, helping others navigate distress. Institutions can formalize this with peer mentoring or well-being programs focused on connection and mutual support. Officers can maintain emotional health through self-care. Practicing relaxation, exercising regularly, and eating healthy support mental and emotional resilience. These strategies help manage daily stress and maintain balance. Setting boundaries and recognizing the early signs of trauma are vital. Officers should use supervision to process cases, seek training on trauma recognition, and ensure professional and personal boundaries are maintained. The ACT government's self-care wheel highlights 6 dimensions: emotional, psychological, physical, professional, personal, and spiritual. Using these strategies helps officers remain balanced and resilient, and effectively manage the impact of others' trauma. Managing vicarious trauma requires both institutional and individual effort. Institutions can support officers through workload management, mentoring, EAP access, and peer support networks. Individuals can use self-care, boundary setting, and supervision to maintain well-being. Prioritizing emotional safety ensures community corrections officers remain supported, resilient, and effective. Both organizational and personal strategies together provide the best protection against the effects of vicarious trauma. Which strategy will you implement this week?